Thank you. My name is Hilde Hardeman. I work for the European Commission, and in the European Commission I'm leading the Publications Office of the European Union. We publish the EU law so that it can enter into force, because people have to know what the law is before they can be held accountable. We also publish data, information on what the EU is, what it does, what it means. So in short, I think we provide a trustworthy source of information and data for people so that they can know how the EU works for them. What we see is that conversational AI is getting into more and more fields of our lives, of our work, sometimes without us being fully aware of that. What is really positive here at the summit is that one tries to look at both practical aspects and more regulatory, contextual aspects. And if we look at development in conversational AI around us, of course we see that the speed with which the quality is getting better and better, that speed is enormous. Well, I look at this field, of course, not from the perspective of an engineer, not from the perspective of a technician, but I look at it from the perspective, on the one hand, of somebody who is there to make sure that people have access to trustworthy data and information, and on the other hand, as a representative of the European Union that is committed to the values of democracy, the rule of law, respect for human rights. So for me, among the biggest challenges are to ensure that what we do remains trustworthy, remains ethical, and to make sure that we don't run into the trap of unethical AI. It's crucial to bear the basic ethical principles in mind. Experts from different types of fields have reflected together on the basic principles to which trustworthy ethical AI should respond. They are basic principles that are not new, that are age-old, and to avoid the challenges that I spoke about, it is important to bear these principles in mind from the start of whatever we do and whatever we develop in the field of conversational AI. First of all, to reflect really well about what it is that they want to use conversational AI for. It's not because conversational AI is developing fast, is getting better and better, that it is the answer to every problem that one can have. That's the first point. The second point goes back to what I've said previously, to make sure that from the beginning of the development of the project, that one bears in mind the ethical principles to which trustworthy AI has to correspond, and that one tries throughout the development of the project to be able to explain what you are doing. I think that is a crucial element. Just like we as non-engineers are not able to explain every technical detail of how a plane flies or a car rides, we are able to explain it in general terms. So it has to be possible for whoever uses conversational AI in its work to be able to explain exactly what one is doing in a non-technical way. Well, I'm excited, of course, to have the opportunity to speak about what we do, to speak about what the European Union cares about and seeks to achieve in the field of AI, to a very mixed audience that has both people from companies, from public service, from academia. That is a big opportunity in general. Then for myself as a participant now, I'm delighted to learn from so many others who are working in this field in so many different areas. And I bring home, I know that from last year, I will bring home a lot of new insights that will help me tremendously in what I do in the time ahead. So that's why I think it's incredibly worthwhile to be able to participate in this event.
Yeah, sure. My name is Dr. Ali Fennick, and I'm a professor of organizational behavior and innovation. And I specialize in the behavioral foundations of companies, but also in AI as well. And I specifically look at how to fuse technology together with psychology. And my involvement here in the summit is I've been a keynote speaker, and I've also delivered a masterclass on how to humanize AI in the workplace. Yeah, great question. One of the biggest trends that I've seen, or recent trends, let's say, that's been very interesting is Claude 3 that's now come out, which I don't know if you've heard about this, but recently has shown some kind of self-awareness. And of course, that's a big question, right? It's an algorithmic sign, but I think it's interesting because as our large language models are getting more advanced, we'll start to see more interesting kind of human-like responses. But we of course don't know if it's really aware or not, but it's very interesting to see that development. Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges is the focus on, our general focus on productivity and improving efficiency and also lowering costs. And I think we need to think a little bit more about how we can use generative AI as a way to enhance the human potential, the human values. And I think that's something that we're not doing today, and I think that's something we should definitely focus on more in the future. Similar to what I said before, I think the biggest advice I can give to companies is start thinking about the human aspect and the human element when you think about using chatbots and large language models. And I don't mean human element, make it sound more like a human, but how can you use AI to enhance someone's potential or augment someone's skills or feel more empowered, for example? I think those kind of psychological aspects and impact we should start thinking more about, because then I really think we can delight customers with using these kind of technologies. The thing that I noticed this year has been the caliber of people and the quality of the talks and the master classes has been very high level, like really good quality and high level as well. And high level, I mean in a way that it's really top notch, I would say almost. And the engagement and the networking that you have with people is amazing. So I definitely advise people who really want to kind of learn more about the industry, but also connect with all kinds of people from the industry, from developers to companies and organizations, but also to the public officials, let's say, that are working in the field or applying AI at a government level. I think this is definitely one of those events that you should attend.
Yes. So the question how generative AI bumped in, let's say, and also changed the political narratives and our thinking in the European Parliament is a good one and an important one, because let's say at the very beginning of the AI Act negotiations, the focus was really on more traditional AI systems. And then OpenAI released ChatGPT in November 2022. Even before, we had already a few discussions, but that basically changed everything and was one of the biggest reasons why the whole discussions took so long. We needed to rethink the law, restructure it, need to include new legal concepts, let's say. And actually on events like today, I'm always learning also new things and feeling, oh, damn, we forgot one thing and we should add something. So yeah, it's constant learning, and events like today are playing a big part in it, because here policymakers like myself have the chance to speak to actual experts that are doing deep learning, foundation model development, and so on. Yes. So regarding the biggest challenges that are being posed by AI and recent developments, I think, let's say, let me start maybe with market concentration, because this is really dear to me as a topic. I think With everything we saw over the last 2 decades and also now recently when it comes to foundation model generative AI, there's just this big risk that again it's making already very powerful companies even more powerful, and smaller companies do not have the financial means, the expertise and so on to do it by themselves. And then maybe something like the AI Act is coming on top and makes development even more expensive, more difficult. So this, I think, from a regulatory perspective, is maybe one or even the biggest challenge that we are facing right now. Then another point is that I think especially Gen AI is really standing for general purpose technology that is a kind of tipping point in history probably, which will lead to a lot of further developments in the employment sector, in the health sector, in the education sector and so on. And normally what we should do right now is really make a very comprehensive strategy how to engage, how to help, for example, certain parts of our society to better deal with changes, how to help, for example, translators that are probably losing their job, at least in significant numbers. But yeah, the big problem in politics is, again, AI is a horizontal topic, and it would need a strict and very strong cooperation between a lot of different actors. So employment experts in policy, education experts and so on. In the European Union, in our member states, this is unfortunately not really happening. And I really hope that there is more cooperation from different actors and this more comprehensive plan soon, because otherwise I think AI will lead to a lot of negative effects. And I'm not speaking about AGI, I'm speaking more about those silent developments that make at least certain groups suffering. So for groups or individuals and companies that now want to integrate conversational AI in new products, services, projects, and so on, let's say there's good news that if they want to place the outcome of their work on the European market, most likely they are not falling under the heaviest obligations from the AI Act. There is very likely only the obligation from Article 52 and their paragraph 1, which is indeed about a chatbot, that it needs to be visible and so on and so on. But of course, they also need to look a little bit in the rest of the law if there are some overlaps with certain parts. And then the best thing right now to do, again, like I said in my presentation, very likely we will see in the first months rather high legal uncertainty because of legal overlaps, because of unclear enforcement system and so on. So companies or universities that let's say want to engage proactive will in the end probably benefit most, because right now it's so unclear that even the European Commission is really depending on good external input on conversations, and those companies or actors that do those conversations will benefit by easier compliance, by more knowledge. And I think the biggest advice that you can give those actors right now, again also learning from GDPR, is to build up or join networks. So there are a lot of existing networks or also conferences like here to find other players on the market or in universities that are active in this field, and try to identify best practices, try to help each other. So I think the AI Act will really create a kind of cooperative ecosystem where those players that do cooperate and are proactive are benefiting the most. Yeah, so what makes me really excited to be here, and what I would tell other people. First of all, I studied at the University of Edinburgh, so for me coming back here for an event is a really nice personal experience. But as I said also with regard to the previous questions, I think this event is extremely helpful for people who are, of course, interested in AI chatbots, but also, let's say, in the larger field of machine learning, deep learning, foundation models, and so on. And is really a place, a platform to engage with a lot of other experts, of course, also listening to very interesting panel discussions and presentations. But I think the network element is, in my personal opinion, almost always the biggest advantage to join such an event. And even after the event, in the evening and so on, maybe it's in the beautiful city center of Edinburgh, there are a lot of spaces where you can continue those exchanges. And going back to my previous point, I think actually sometimes from those events like this, you then benefit in a long-term perspective, because, for example, you have identified this partner that is already doing good things where you can learn a lot.
Hi, I'm Sharon Matthew. I'm the CEO and founder of AI Tech UK. I specialize in AI innovation, knowledge, management, and more importantly, governance. And our involvement in this conference and its summit is to be a sponsor and an advocate for ethical adoption of AI. And we are delivering masterclasses and keynotes on how ethics can be a superpower. Okay. Most profound observation that I've seen is there's an element of human-centric approach. There is element of empathy. People are not just using chatbot for the sake of it. There's an element of seeing how it is helping the people and how it is actually creating an impact and how they're optimizing the challenges and problems that businesses and public services are usually facing. In my opinion, the biggest challenge is ethics and governance. So people are rushing in to build chatbots, but people are not thinking about the consequence sometimes, what happens with data, privacy, the risk, the bias, and the control especially. There's always a need for human in the loop, especially if there is an element of risk involved. There were so many amazing conversations in this conference where I was really inspired to see that people are talking about the empathy element, the people side, and really bringing human in the loop in certain scenarios. So I can see there are various challenges of lack of governance and compliance. At the same time, people are thinking proactively as well. My advice for any organization looking into starting their chatbot or conversational AI journey is to think of ethics and governance first. There is recent announcement from the European AI Act that it has been passed by the Parliament. Also, ISO has announced 42001, international standards for AI management. This will be mandated. Everyone will have to do this. So let's not rush in, think proactively, build a safe AI chatbot, and be ethical from the get-go. The most exciting part is the human-centric part, and that's what I love about it. I'm an advocate, big advocate about AI governance and human-centric element, and I feel ethical AI is the way forward. And I feel like, this is the year to be ethical. Looking at the European AI Act and the ISO standards, I feel next year there will be a bigger uptake on the ethical approach, and I think the content, the strategy that Summit has is perfect, and the timing is just spot on.
So my name is Helen Hastie. I'm a professor of human-robot interaction at the University of Edinburgh, and I'm head of school for the School of Informatics. And I'm at the Chatbot Summit because Edinburgh University is sponsoring the summit as part of the Bay Centre initiative, where we are looking at taking our research and advancing that through translation, working with companies and industry. So I've been really excited to be at the summit, to see the innovative new ideas coming through, especially for new applications and ideas for generative AI. There's been a bit of cynicism over the years about whether we can actually use AI and generative AI in a useful way, and I really think that we are now on the cusp of seeing how generative AI can help with productivity and also in other aspects such as communications and healthcare. So some of the challenges that I think we'll face in conversational and generative AI really comes from this adoption and how we start scaling these applications. So as more people start using these systems, it's really, really important that we create systems that are safe. And we do this through responsible research and thinking about various safety aspects, including things like bias, hallucinations, as well as making sure that AI and generative AI is available to all. So if companies and individuals are looking at integrating conversational AI into their products and services, they really need to think about the problem and the challenge that conversational AI will address, rather than just shoehorning it in because it's the latest, greatest technology. I would encourage everybody to sign up for next year's conference. This year has been great in terms of meeting people from all around Europe, really understanding the latest research that's going on in Europe, and also meeting new companies and small to medium-sized enterprises to understand how they are going to be using this technology in the future going forward. So Edinburgh is a great place to host the Chatbot and Conversational AI Summit because it brings together people from Europe in an amazing location, and the social aspect of the conference has been great. We had a Scottish meal on Tuesday night with a piper giving an ode to the haggis, and it really brings together many different cultures, and I think that's really, really important when we're looking at researching and developing conversational AI.
Hey everyone, I'm Gerrit Siebeck. The product owner of the online vehicle configurator from BMW, and I had the pleasure of giving a speech about reinventing how we choose cars at the summit. When it comes to trends in that field of conversational AI in the last year, so much has happened. And it's impossible to pin that one thing. But what strikes out the most to me is that now we can create solutions focusing on pre-sales and giving a consultation rather than customer care. And that is a huge new playing field, and that is exciting. Well, with all these changes, there are directly challenges implied. The entire industry is turning upside down. And there was also professions we used to have yesterday don't exist today. And the ones who exist today probably will change tomorrow again. So the only thing how to overcome that is being very, very flexible and adaptive. I would advise everyone to think of conversation as a new interface for the way we use the web. Not necessarily meaning implementing a chatbot, but everything will be a conversation. The way we use products will fundamentally change in the future, and you need to have that in mind. The Chatbot Europe is a great event, and the entire conversational AI space is kind of bubble. But I like that bubble. And besides great speeches and presentations, you really need to be here because the engagements and networking besides it maximizes the value of the event.
My name is Dan Fitzpatrick. My professional life I spent as an interface developer. A few years ago, I realized that conversational interfaces are also interfaces and the most intuitive, exciting type, if you want my opinion. So now I help manage a startup company for the Reply Group, and we are the expertise hub worldwide for conversational interfaces. Well, the biggest change, disruption, or trend I would like to talk about is conversational design. Up until now, it was a field of expertise which involved a lot of wireframing, creating flows of dialogue, conversational turns, repairs, and things of that nature. My team of conversational designers has had a lot of pain in the last year because they have to redefine their areas of expertise to take the qualities and benefits of generative AI into consideration. Well, a lot of people think, I'm going to put a chatbot in my digital application, and that's a challenge, and it needs to be overcome because if you just put the widget in there without taking the context into consideration, it's going to be stultifying and useless. People forget that conversational interfaces need to manage expectations. This isn't something which is new, but it's a challenge which needs to be addressed, because if you're sitting in front of a rich visual interface, you have some context. But if you're using a conversational interface, you need to manage expectations. Hi, I'm your digital assistant. This is what I can do for you. I might be able to order you a pizza, I might be able to configure you an automobile, but not both. I would give the following advice for people looking to integrate conversational AI into their digital applications. Put it in the forefront. We are pursuing a philosophy we like to call kill the website, which means let the conversational interface help the user to his information, so the user can use the conversational interface with rich media to create, save, and share their own information package from your website. Well, I would advise folks thinking of participating that this conference has an immense amount of energy and it has a wonderful mood, because we're kind of an esoteric group as conversational specialists. We know each other, and I'd enjoy it very much next year if you'd like to come be part of our tribe and come to the conversational summit so that we can get to know you and help you find your best conversational solution.
Thanks. It's good that both of you don't work at the same company, but you spoke together.
That's excellent. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Hi, well, I'm Ray Allen Taylor. I'm head of innovations at Idea by AI. We're one of the partners of the summit, and I'm really happy to be here. One of the things that I personally do, I do love spreading visions. As for my responsibility is, and my purpose actually is, to show people that things have not changed. They're actually still the same, but this time, things have changed in a way that we all have to go back to an entrepreneurial mindset, because this change of tech is so huge that we were struggling to hold up with the things that we already have. And let me tell you, humans and letting go of stuff they already have is a huge deal. At the European Chat Summit, one of the most amazing things that I've seen is the way people suddenly see conversational design looking backwards. So they suddenly understand that everything they imagine AI could do for them was possible for the last 10 years already. They just didn't put the effort in it. And now they're hoping for this magical thing to solve all of their problems of the past. And but now, while talking to other people who are visiting the summit, they're starting to realize, yes, there is new tech, but it doesn't really change the problems I've already had. So there's way more than just putting AI on top of it. There's questions that I need to find answers for, and that's why I'm here too, which never have been answered. Like, what are we gonna do with people that we don't need? Like, we don't need them anymore? Okay, you could let them go. You could. I mean, it will bring you more benefit, it will bring you more money, it will bring down the costs and stuff like that. But is that actually a decision that you want to take? Or would you rather start and plan and say, you know what, I don't want to let anyone go. I'd rather take all the agents that I have right now, maybe split them up, make some of them tech expert so they can really answer questions that matter to customers. So with AI, this whole conversation design is getting more customer-centric, and that's something that I really do appreciate and love helping people getting there. In my opinion, some of the biggest things that people and companies and startups, well, not startups, but companies who already exist have to face is finding answers to questions that nobody gives to them. It's hard to live in a world of uncertainty because we're realizing, and people and companies are realizing, yes, AI is there, and it's already good to use somehow in some perspectives, but in the end, we don't know where it's going to be in 3 years. So we're predicting and planning for a future that we don't know, and it's very obvious, like when you ask some of the people, and that's one of the most important things for me to see. Have you ever read the roadmap of OpenAI? What are they planning in their future? And if I ask 100 people, one raises their hand. One. So there's only one who could actually plan their company's future on a tech that is still in beta. And that's the next thing I love asking. Would you ever use a platform on the market for customer-facing services that is still in beta? No, you wouldn't. And people are starting to realize that there's so many questions where the answers will only come within the next 6 months, 12 months, 2 years. So how am I planning? Idea Bay AI is helping companies to transform with purpose. So what does purpose actually mean, and what is the things that I would tell people and companies to plan and how to go forward is to not be tech-driven. We have to come back to an entrepreneurial mindset where we say, what is the things that we actually want to achieve? How do you envision your company once you have all of the things that you desire and wish? How would a conversation with a customer ideally look like? What could the agent say? What could the bot say? How do they interact with each other? Make a picture of it, make a demo of it. It doesn't cost nothing. You can take 2 people and say, you know what? Please showcase the perfect customer agent bot interaction, and that's what we're going to go for. And from there, you plan backwards. You actually reverse engineer that demo and say, okay, if we want this, if we don't want to ask, hey, could you please tell me your customer number and your birthday so I can authenticate you, then you need biometrics, right? So put that into the plan. So reverse engineer your vision. And if you don't know how to have a vision and how to create a vision and define a vision, call us up, please. I was so excited coming to the summit, to the European Chat Summit 2024, because first of all, I love Edinburgh. Edinburgh is a great place. It's a wonderful place. So, by the way, if you plan to come next year, take your time, maybe take a day off before and after so you can really enjoy this wonderful city, because there's more than just the summit and there's always more to life. And that's one of the things I also was experiencing this year here today. That so many people came together experiencing a new chapter of everyone's life, because for the first time in a long time, maybe centuries, there is a tech coming that has such a huge impact that it's not only touching us who try to use and integrate it into our companies and get the best efforts. No, it's even taking people along that never have to do anything with tech. So my 90-year-old Japanese grandma in her old hut, and this is not a story, she's sitting there chatting with ChatGPT to prepare her talks to her doctor the next day so she can have an educated conversation with him. So that's how huge this impact is, and finding other people and talking to other people that have the same view and the same problems and the same thoughts, and combining all of this knowledge is something that I'm looking forward next year and that I've been really happy to experience this year.
So my name is Harald Felgner. I'm Digital Experience Innovator at AXA Switzerland, which is based in Winterthur. And I'm here this year as a speaker. I was last year in the audience and participated 2 years ago in online. So I'm a real fan of the summit. So the trends I've seen here is really, we are not alone, and it's a huge mess of opportunities, challenges, and benefits that all sorts of models have. We are all seeking. It's not easy. I mean, large language models were a good development, but somehow they raise the expectations much higher for customers using those chatbots. So it's a time of seeking and trying different solutions and experimenting. So we are not yet there yet. So we are not there yet, I would say. So one of the biggest challenges, and that's not specific to conversational AI, but one of the biggest challenges again is that management sees some sort of solutions, technical solutions, and they will solve everything. So, and specifically for large language models now, because those answers you read online are so perfect in some cases that they think if we trust the right vendor or partner or provider of a technical solution, that's all. Just implement the technical solution, put everything in there, and you have the perfect chatbot or voice bot. And I think that's a challenge to convince them again that there need to be designers, call them conversational designers now, because there's not much visual design, that there need to be conceptualists who can really think about a vision, about a goal you want to achieve, and that technical solutions are not the solutions in themselves. So it's important to hire competent partners on one hand, but also to have people on staff who understand the field. So it's always important to have as a company, in order to have success in that field, to have people on staff who can then challenge solutions, but on the other hand have outside informations, outside consultants who bring in that expertise from different fields and from a variety of fields, because inside a company implementing solutions, you're always focused onto your business, like we on insurance in our case, and you can learn a lot thinking across the border to another industry. So the last question first, what would I tell people? Come to Scotland, if it's still in Scotland. I was very disappointed last year when on the last slide there was, it will be in Berlin next year, but then you change course fast. So I'm back in Edinburgh, and Edinburgh is really an awesome place. In Scotland, I was here as a kid and then never again until last year, and I really like those places. I mean, this is Europe. It's different cultures, it's different dialects of English or even another language, as far as I know. I haven't heard it here, but people seem to speak another language here in Scotland, and I really love the city. So take your time a day after the visit to visit Scotland, and yeah, that's the most important part, why I came in the first place, actually, that is in Scotland. So the most important part of coming to a summit like this one is really meeting the people and discussing their same issues they have. And then, of course, hearing of solutions that exist. And Maike really, she contacted me after my talk now, and she asked, I only made this up, so I would love to talk to you. It seems like you have the same problems, providing guidance instead of just questions and answers.
Yeah, my name is Andrew Davids. I'm the founder of. My name is Andrew Davids, and I'm the founder and CEO of Seamly, and we are a partner. The main developments are, of course, the LLMs that entered our area, which give huge opportunities. And I think it's a great moment for every organization to step in, but on a concise and very acknowledged manner to do so. The biggest challenge, I think, is that what we see in conversational AI at this stage is a consistency of data, that you want to that you need to train the LLMs on as well, and I think that's going to be the main challenge. My main advice would be to start, but start on a. My main advice would be to start in small steps, take it step by step, learn, improve, and then excel continuously. What excites me the most is, of course, the international crowd, the speakers, the content, the exhibitors, the audiences that are visiting here at this great location. That excites me the most. What I would advise to all the potential other participants please do so. It's a great community, great networking opportunities, and of course, a great city.
Okay, who am I, what I do, and my involvement in the summit. I'm Harshdeep Singh. I'm a senior technical product manager with Amazon Alexa. I work for the Alexa team for making the chatbot experience better and making Alexa the world's best personal assistant. In the summit, I was presenting a presentation on improving your productivity using the Gen AI applications. Yes. So what trends have caught my attention from the summit or the general industry so far? I think the summit has been extremely useful for even a industry veteran like me, and who have been in the industry for 13, 14 years now with background on the Conversational AI Summit for last 4 years. The most important piece was the huge adoption of LLMs and generative AI being used across all industries, be it hospitality or restaurants or customer service. And the summit actually showed the huge adoption, which was a very positive trend and sign for me to see on how conversational AI is actually helping our customers. So what are the biggest challenges which we are facing in the time of the conversational AI future? I think hallucination, which the industry recognizes, is the most common problem which the generative AI generally faces. And hallucination can be of different forms. They can be that Gen AI is generating something which it thinks is correct, but it's basically trying to prompt answer without any logic or from the data which it already has. Or hallucination can be garbage in of the training data which has gone in. And that is something which can definitely be taken care using the retrieval augmented generation or the RAG model. And yeah, so hallucinations probably. Yeah, so what advice would I want to give to individuals or corporates looking to incorporate conversational AI into their projects or work? I think start fast because the industry is really, really evolving. Don't miss the train. You should not be 2 years out and very behind and just feel like that I should have started. So the trend is on. You should definitely try the Gen AI products and definitely move on with the industry. Yeah, so that would be my biggest piece of advice. Another thing which I have personally seen, which has been very useful, is that if you give your employees a project or a base which they can explore on, a lot of personal project and personal passion comes out in those kind of projects where people develop new GPTs and new conversational AI models and products which are for the improvement of internal employees or external customers. And that is something which I would encourage corporates to definitely do. Okay, so what did I feel best about the summit this year was that it was so operational and so deep that the general summits, I'm not comparing from that perspective, but the general summits are very at a bird's eye level. And this summit was so deep and so informational that there were a lot of key takeaways for everybody. And that is something which I really, really loved. A message for future participants of the summit would be that do not think small of your projects or of the thing of which you want to talk about and share. Do bring it on. There are people who are beginners, they are intermediates, and there are experts as well. So probably you can help the beginners mingle well with the intermediates and learn from the experts. So always try to be a part of it. And yeah, looking forward to the new participants from the next